Markus Heinen is the expert. Markus Heinen is partner, strategy lead advisory services at EY, one of the partners of the Codan. And the stage is yours and your panel. And you tell me if 3D printing is just a big hype or if it's dying in the death valley of
Let's see.
Overestimated expectations. Markus,
So,
go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much for attending. After having one disruptive technology already listened a couple of times now in the prior sessions, now we are coming through, as he mentioned, 3D printing. And 3D printing has obviously a mystical around is it what it is, a little bit plastic we can print, a little bit heads, and so on. It's difficult. There's already startup companies like a company called Choc Edge, where you can print chocolate at home and trying to make new Christmas presents there, up to this area of printing metal for specific purposes. And we have chosen the title Demystifying 3D Printing because we want to give you a little bit an observation with very experts, experienced since a couple of years in that space. I would welcome on stage Mr. Gries from Airbus. Thank you. Mr. Büsgen from MaterialScience, and Mr. Nick from Apworks, which is a startup. So great. Great having you here, and as I said, in this next 30 minutes, we are really trying to demystify and giving you a little bit from different lenses the aspect of 3D printing. As I said, Mr. Guy is responsible at Airbus for nursery and innovation and for driving incubators within the firm. We're trying to give a lens on how does 3D printing in the Airbus industry, in the aviation industry, can make an impact and what type of obstacles and issues you're facing, especially when it comes to 3D printing. Mr. Büsgen, experienced and is an innovation manager at MaterialScience, responsible for the field of 3D printing, technically expert and giving you already some experience there. And Mr. Nick, as I said, one of the very close collaboration between Airbus and your company is really applying as a startup and trying to drive further market space in the area of 3D printing. So let's stepping immediately into the conversation. Mr. Gries. Nursery is interesting description, isn't it? What was a little bit the issues and the challenges within the Airbus industry when it came through the 3D printing, and what was the idea around it to build an own organization and a structure to drive that?
Yeah, it is something like 7-8 years ago when we became when we got a new CTO who came originally from the automotive industry, where you have concept cars, things like this. So he changed our R&D management substantially, and he formed at that time a new innovation process, which is called Innovation Nursery. And I'm heading this today. That means we incubate internal ideas, new business ideas, which are not yet core business of the group, or who might flourish completely outside the group. And I think it is of utmost importance to have a clear business focus on these activities, on these innovation activities, and as such, it doesn't really fit into R&T. The R&T labs, you have the experts, the deep dive, and these gentlemen, they are raised to do technology. They're not raised to develop new business. So besides the huge R&D activities, we have more than 1,000 researchers in our headquarters and about 2,500 in our divisions. We have formed little, let's call them innovation cells. And one of them, the Innovation Nursery, is in our headquarters. Each division has its own innovation cell, and there we can do very rapidly test new businesses. That means we have certain filters. We will not spend the money all at once, but we will start. We will look for business models which mature a value proposition. And if this goes well, then we slice by slice give more money to make prototypes running so that they can enter the market. If then at the end the group can use this product, whatever it is, this is of course the best we can achieve. But we do as well outsourcing or even looking for external funding, so that we dilute our shares over time and let the new idea flourish completely outside the company.
So you're bombarding at the end of the day, you're incubating a traditional core business which has typically difficulties to sustain within a large corporate. Because the large corporate would always try to protect their own field of play. Yeah. But what we see also in the market is that some of the companies since a couple of years are already large corporates trying to open up and getting more connected to startups. Because the agility, the speed and complexity to manage within a corporate with stringent new Airbusses and everything to be launched is different as the ones which are on the horizon. And digital disruptive technologies, likewise, 3D printing is one example, isn't it?
Right. We said the technology came from our research center, but the research center is not able to do operative business, and there is no need of starting to offer your services if you're not set up properly, that you have sales, that you have contracts management, project management, controlling, and so on. So in general, I would say if a new business idea doesn't fit to the processes of the big group, then it doesn't make really sense to start to develop this business. It's much better to carve it out and let it grow in a special legal entity. And if it is big enough that it can withstand the harsh processes of the group, fine, you can insource them. And if not, you let them work as a startup and let them become an SME at least, let them grow. The most important criteria is really the processes inside the group. So I give you an example. We do passenger aircrafts, we do defense and security, we do helicopters. So if a new business idea would have the same customers as our core business has, the likelihood to keep it internally is very high. If they're looking for other customers, it is much easier to spin them off or keep them at least in a separate entity so that they are free to master these new customer relationships, these new markets.
So you are capturing ideas, and that's an advantage of startups and high creative entrepreneurial characters. So but you're helping them to facilitate, better understand, also challenge them with regard to the readiness of that solution, and then you're willing also to invest money into one or the other good options in that regard? Independent to Airbus, or is it in general?
We at headquarters currently only invest into in-house new business ideas. Airbus passenger aircraft itself has started to invest even into external startups. The group overall is just now thinking or developing a new corporate venture capital fund will start somewhere during the year to systematic investment into external ventures. I think we work in our internal incubator as a normal VC would work. That means we check the attractiveness of the idea and we request a clearly defined value proposition. If an entrepreneur comes up with an idea without a value proposition, if he cannot explain how he wants to make money out of that, then we do not sponsor him. He has to work at least up to an extent where he has done some market analysis, some benchmark analysis, and then can at least try to explain why he is much better than anything which is on the market or find an uncontested niche. If someone comes at this stage of the project to us, then we help him to elaborate a complete business model. So we offer our entrepreneurs methodology, we offer them funding, and we offer them network. I mean, we have 140,000 people inside our group. There is hardly nothing which you would not find a solution for. Yeah? The group is so big that it is very easy if somebody has a technical problem, a business problem, whatever. We will find someone in the group who can help him to overcome this. So this is, I think, the most important support we can give, methodology, networking, and funding.
Okay, so guidance and a facilitator, a little bit of supporter in that regard. So what can learn an Airbus from a startup? What is the major thing before we are then getting deep into 3D printing? But what can I learn an Airbus from a startup?
Well, aeronautics and defense is a very traditional industry. There is very often you hear not invented here, cannot be as good as what we do. So people are rather. They are very much focused on themselves. Yeah? So a startup which is keen to develop and implement a new business with a clear value proposition and an objective to reach various market segments is looking to the outside world. This is the very first thing, that the big group can see from startups how you can become much quicker by opening up to the outside world. then startups in general are very agile. Yeah? If we need to take a decision, depending on the management level, it can take 4 weeks until you get a meeting. If then it is decided, well, people don't like, if they have decided something, that they have to take it back. Yeah? It could be seen as a failure. In a startup case, people test. They test a market, they test a market segment. If it works, they carry on. If it doesn't work, next one. Yeah? This agility, I think, is key if you go into new business. And it will be key for us as well, because our industry will change by this digitalization and all the other trends which we are seeing all day long here. Our industry will change as well. We have to become much more agile and quicker and more customer focused.
So you are, as I said, finally an accelerator within a company. We see this more often in other larger corporates, and sometimes there is people are thinking, it's too hard. We have legal departments, IP, and all of that. Now are mechanisms to get it sorted, and there's more convergence going on between large corporates and entrepreneurial spirits. Doesn't matter what type of startup and structure it's going to be. But 3D printing was one of the reasons why you have invested and founded, Mr. Nick, a company who is especially in metal 3D printing, and this was blowing away my mind. At the end of the day, think about you can print a metal blade for turbines. We are not talking about a small stick or something a little bit with metal. We are now ready to do more things which no one can really consider. And there's a reason why we've chosen you as an expert, and maybe thinking about your challenges as a startup in that constitution, working with Mr. Gries' department and the people, and also maybe if you can a little bit think about organizational processes and some customers, and what are the main challenges for you?
Yeah, first of all, thank you. And I think for us, when it started, when Mr. Gries more or less funded the company, we already knew about the technology, obviously, and we knew about the potential of the technology, but we had, let's say, in the beginning, a hard time to really get into contact with the right persons on the customer side. So, as you said, it is obvious when you have a look at it that it's a very interesting technology, but if you talk about, for example, turbine blades, and you would like to sell an engine manufacturer a turbine blade produced by 3D printing, he is, let's say, not like, okay, give it to me and I will directly install it on my turbine and then sell it to somebody and he will fly with it. So there is, let's say, the problem that you have to convince the people that the process is an alternative to conventional production processes. So we need to get to the people who understand and who are willing to have a look at a new process, and to convince them that we can add something to their product, that we can improve their product more or less. And we, in the beginning, it was a hard time because it's not so easy if you try to find these persons in the companies. And by the time we managed to find the right persons in some companies, so that was, I think, one very critical point, to find these people and to convince them that it might be beneficial for them to take the steps together with us. One of the keys to this, obviously, was the network Mr. Gries talked about. So it is very, very helpful if you have a network of people with a lot of know-how. It's easier to convince people that you know what you're doing when you can, let's say, tell them that you have the knowledge of a company like the Airbus research facilities in your back. And also to get into contact with these people. So the network Airbus provides and Mr. Gries as a person provides to us was very helpful, yeah.
And I'm typically, there is a great TED video from Simon Sinek. He talks about golden circle, and this is quite simple. He talks about why, how, and what. What we typically see is there's a lot of experience, technical experience in what we can do, what we're able to do. We know the detail. We probably also know how to apply it, but we don't know why. So, and that's the hard thing to overcome. What's about the readiness of 3D printing? What is the challenge you face every day when you are talking to developments, having a large prototyping, tooling type of things? Because this can be, 3D printing can be disruptive for tooling, for example. Is it already started? But now we are moving into the next level from my point of view. So, but what do you think, when is the time ready that 3D will have a significant push in the market to be a game changer? Any point of view on that?
Yeah, at the moment we can quite clearly see it in the Airbus group, because there are obviously projects running to get the process of 3D printing into production. There are let's say projects that just go step by step in the direction of product readability, more or less, and we can see that this will be ready in the next few years. On the other hand, we know that a company like the Airbus Group in the field of aeronautics has a very high standard to overcome or to ensure to get something into a product. And we meanwhile found some customers who are more willing to, let's say, quickly introduce new products or processes like 3D printing into their products in order to just more or less make them a little bit better, hopefully. And so we can already see that there are serial applications, and that different companies also from the automotive industry are taking more and more effort to take the steps in order to get the process ready for their products. Yeah.
But you see the readiness of 3D printing has evolved over a period of time. The technology is 30 years old or even older. But now is a lot of variance. We can mix different components, and we are also already started, just recently I heard about Materialise, who have started a pilot for a 3D printed heart of an embryo, and they have started to do it outside of the body after a 3D scan and try to really make a heart surgery in simulation before. Or an ibuprofen, who is going to be for headache, are going to be printed at home. This will have significantly potential for something. There's people out there who strongly believe in it. We will see when time is ready to get there, but it can have significant impact. So now moving from metal, which is challenging to see, into a little bit more maturity in polymers. So, Mr. Büsgen, how do you see biomaterial science evolving, especially when it comes to polymers, and also your future as a part of a new organization with having more chances to look into other polymers as well?
Yeah, first of all, I think in a department called New Applications, we face similar challenges like a startup or an internal startup. No. Here we behave more or less like an internal startup, convincing as well upper management that 3D printing is an application where one should invest and that this is a future. Currently, I see the metals definitely a little bit ahead. There are already the first printed parts which fly. If GE Aviation has already turbine parts in flying engines. So on the polymer side, maybe we are not so far yet, but I think there's a lot of potential for direct manufacturing. So up to today, this is more like rapid prototyping. You want to do one part, wants to look at it, see it, touch it, but not really use it. And so we believe the big challenge is, and why we as a material supplier should be part of that, is to really bring materials, performance materials, into this new application form. It's just a different technology to fabricate something, yes, but you have to adjust the material to both the final application, but as well to this new process technology. But then give the user a bigger choice of materials and not only the few ones which are on the market at the moment, to really make it then a tool for fabricating and mass customization and doing things you cannot do today.
And your future outlook, last question to that regard, is the challenges you are facing today. Also, when you're talking to your colleagues applying 3D printing in the whole organization, how is this going to look like in short term or even midterm?
To implement it in the own company.
Yeah.
Yes, as I said, that is like a startup. You have to convince people to really trust in that. And of course, create as well a pull, not only a technology push. Yes, we can do, our materials can perform, but of course you have to have as well the application side, and therefore we go out there, and I'm standing here sitting here on the stage to show we are looking into that. So yeah, we want to partner with people from the application side to create new ideas for applications with a material plus then the 3D printing technology.
Super. So timekeeper is looking to me, already trying to use our 30 minutes. The other one was a little bit late, but that's okay. I would thank you very much for taking the time, coming here, hopefully a little bit giving more impact and demystifying the 3D printing. Time is there to think about it. It's one disruptive technology, but everything comes into place when we talk about business models and the application for 3D printing. There's a lot of variants out there. Think about it. The colleagues are here for, and we are as well. Come to our booth and talk to us. Happy to chat further. Thank you very much.
Don't take your guests with you, and then you can all come there.
Yeah.
And talk about it.
Okay. Super. Thank you.
Thank you, Markus.